This is the Artist Entrepreneur Podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda Ritchie, Noah Dock, and me, Kerry Wee. We're three artists brought together by the love of circus and dance. Amanda from the world of Cirque du Soleil as an aerial soloist. Noah, our academic, and me from the commercial dance world. This is one of the greatest jobs in the world, but it comes with uncertainty. Each episode contains insight on how to pursue art-based businesses. We'll have a variety of guests and have lively weekly Discord. Tune in every week to hear our perspectives on the minefield that is the artist's way of life.
I graduated at my school yesterday. Wait, I'm going to tell you something.
One more thing. Okay, go ahead. Okay,
You're fired.
No, he can't be fired. He's on time.
Yeah.
That's true. I am on time. I thought I was late, but I'm actually on time.
You can fire Amanda next time you talk to her.
Amanda's super
That's true.
fired.
Super fired Amanda. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, we need a new code word for Amanda.
Yeah. It'll come to
Something more complicated.
I mean, porcupine is pretty complicated.
Yeah, but we need multiple words in an order,
So she can't accidentally come up on it?
so she can't accidentally come up on it.
Okay. So Noah, you our appointment has caught me in a particularly fiery moment.
Oh God.
And I prefer it to the moments that I've had this week, which at some point there was crying in a bathroom.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. You just need to let it out sometimes. And I was just letting it out.
Yeah.
The only problem with like having crying moments is now I have a kid and she's really worried about me and she starts calling my mom when I'm crying,
You're being called your mom when you're crying. I actually really love that. I think that is so adorable, actually.
Well, because she, it makes sense. Like she doesn't know what to do,
And theoretically, if you know what to do when she's crying, then your mom would know what to do when you're crying.
But then
Her logic is super sound.
It's super sound, but then as an adult, you might feel this too. Like if you're having a particularly weak moment, you don't necessarily want to tell your parents about it.
Oh, I actively don't tell my parents about it. So yeah, I would agree with that completely.
Yeah, because it's like no parent wants to know and see their adult child like in pain, but it's necessary. It's called what did I say to myself yesterday? Short-term pain for long-term gain. That's my
a good one.
Mantra this week.
That's a fair mantra.
It's a fair mantra. Okay, first of all, while you're getting set up in your bar area, I'll tell you why I'm fiery, and then I'll tell you why I came up with this mantra. We've been fighting with our landlords in the house that we're renting because they're slumlords, basically.
Uh-huh.
So we just gave our 60-day notice on time, by the way, and it's amazing how it took them 90 days to fix our oven, but it took them about 90 seconds to send us the termination paperwork.
Right. The cease and desist.
Yeah. So this morning, I read through line for line what they expect of us to leave, how we should leave this house. And let me tell you, Noah, I've rented quite a bit of places in my life, and I've never seen a list like this. It basically asks us to put the house back to a level that it was never at before we moved. And they're asking us to sign like initial at every sentence, basically. And so I started a fight this morning via email. It's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things to do.
Well, sometimes landlords, like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes landlords are great. And then sometimes they're like this, where they like, literally, if there's a scratch on the right side of the whatever door that looks a little bit larger than 10 millimeters or whatever, then, you initialed here. So that means you have to pay for the whole new door or whatever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we have tenants, and I do feel it, and I know why they give this paperwork to everybody, because I know that some tenants I had a friend, somebody rented their house and they turned it into like an illegal pot, farm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get why they do this paperwork, but no. I mean, I'm this paperwork that they're having us sign, it literally turned me into their maid, and I'm not okay with that. So I started a fight, which I feel like entrepreneurism has
Entrepreneurism.
has made me quite talented at starting fights with people.
Yeah.
With very well placed emails. But the week, so
it's all about the well placed emails.
Well placed emails. So this week, so what I'm finding, and I'm sure you might feel me on this, is that whatever my burnout was, it doesn't matter anymore because I have a lot to do.
Yes.
So I kind of put it what those feelings are to the side. And the thing that's killing me the most is our renovation and dealing with the real estate side of our lives, of our business. But we're getting close because we have exactly 2 months in this limbo that we find ourselves in. Asa brought it to my attention, and it's one of these things where it's like, yeah, it really makes sense that we need to invest in and do all that right now. Basically, he's saying the house that we bought has this terrible taupe color on the walls. And what we're learning, we were just going to leave it, but what we're realizing is that once we move in, it's going to be really hard to paint it, but we actually do want to paint it white.
Yeah.
So we're adding this big project in right now, and I didn't want to add anything. I was at the place where if I added anything, my head was going to explode. And so now we're adding this. We've come to the agreement that it should be happening now. Like, why spray paint your house interior white when you have furniture in there? There's no reason for that when you have time to do it. So we're adding that. I was definitely not doing great. But fire is always good, even if it's because you're pissed.
It's funny. One of my arguments a lot of the time for when I'm feeling really shitty or when I am... I'm feeling uninspired or whatever. If I can get busy because there's just shit I have to do or else the world is going to implode.
Yes. I
will, ironically, start to feel a little bit better because, well, the world's going to implode. And if I don't do it, I'm definitely screwed. And now I'm at least distracted. I might be distracted by the world imploding, but at least I'm distracted.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the tools that we have to kind of battle the ebbs and flows of like the motivation, it is truly in the category of motivating.
Yeah.
To like put out the fires that happen to be right in front of you. Why the tears? It's because all the money that I told you guys that we were spending, it comes home to roost at some point when you pay your bill.
Right.
And I had to do all that addition and subtraction, and it just scared. I was legitimately scared. Not because I don't have resources. I think there are very many levels of actually being scared. We've talked about this before, actually being scared that you're going to be homeless or something. I mean, we have so many homes right now. There's no way we'd be homeless.
Thank God.
Yes. So I know that it is not the worst type of problem, but things came home to roost financially this week. It all came down on one day. And it scared me. And then I started saying to myself, short-term pain for long-term gain. I had to have this conversation with Bean as well today because I do love that she will talk to me about it, but she's very sad because basically at the end of this year, she's leaving her school because she's leaving pre-K going into kindergarten, and we're putting in her school that we can hopefully leave her there until she's in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to leave her friends again. I mean, poor thing has kind of lived the life of a military kid, the way we've been moving. The first 5 years of her life.
It's kind of true.
Yeah.
She's moved around a lot, but I don't know. Sometimes I think that's a good thing. It makes for some good. She will have some good stories when when she's going around the circle in college, and they're like, "So, tell us about your family."
Yeah, and some resilience.
Yes.
Some resilience.
Definitely resilience.
So, but I love that because I don't know if I had the emotional vocabulary or the permission structure that she has, because this morning she said, "Why are you moving my school? I'm so sad," Yeah. And so we talked about it. And the other thing that she doesn't like to be around are a bunch of babies. I hate to say it that way, but that's the way she looks at it, like anybody younger than her. It's like a baby. She's like, they're babies. They don't know anything, Mommy.
Babies. They don't know what they're talking about.
Like, they don't know the school rules. They don't know what to do. And so I was telling her, because her Montessori class, she could stay next year. Like, it's a mixed age thing, but we want to put her somewhere where she can like stay.
Yeah.
And so we're moving her at now because it seems like the best time to do so, because then we're going to just like put off this problem. And I told her, I was like, your mixed level class is going to be a bunch of babies next year. And that is the only thing that gave her pause. She was like, oh, yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
It's like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Like, these 5-year-olds, man, they don't know anything. And I hate to say it, but like much older than that, they don't know what they're doing. So, including me. So, Noah, I hope you enjoyed my update. What is your update?
Oh God, what is my update? I feel like there's a lot.
There's a lot this week.
Maybe, kinda. I don't know.
All right.
I'm launching Red Flags this summer. I guess that's an update to a certain extent.
A big deal, because the app is one thing, but the marketing is now, it's all a marketing problem, right? Not product problem.
It's all a marketing problem now. And yeah, so I have been working on my 120-day launch strategy, which is a whole experience. What else am I doing? I've applied for some jobs again. I'm going to be traveling a bit soon, which is always good. Always
Where are
very
you going,
happy. In July, I'm going to Singapore and Bali. And I'll be there for 2 weeks. And then we're discussing maybe going to Mexico in 2 weeks. But I don't know if that'll happen. We might just go to Mammoth. It's beautiful up in the mountains right now.
You know what I think that we should do at some point? If this podcast does as well as I hope it does?
Do a group trip and have a big event thing where we teach classes and do master classes and do aerial and dance and yoga and discuss
Oh my God, did we have
with
the same idea?
With 20 people or something like that in the middle of the woods in, Bali or something?
It's almost like you've thought about that before I mentioned it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty freaking good to me.
Yeah, we would sell a aerial / business retreat somewhere tropical.
I love that.
And then, oh my God, that would be so fun.
Let's just say to all of our listeners currently, if that interests you, just, send us a message on Instagram or an email or something and just say, hey, I'm in. And we'll know what you're talking about. Just say, hey, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this is winner chicken dinner because I feel like the magic would just quadruple, just be exponential in real life.
It'd be so much fun. It'd be great. I mean, we could do so much. We could do so much
yoga and dance and body work and Pilates. Yeah. We could do everything. And then, some people could come in for one thing, but then, chill when we're doing Lyra, like you might not be at Lyra class.
Me? Not at Lyra class? What are you crazy? I love Lyra. It's my favorite thing. I think part of this retreat will be that some of our viewers will actually want to see all the shit that we've been talking.
Like you on a hammock, in an open hammock.
Yeah, they're all going to be like, wait, we've heard that Noah is terrible at Lyra, and we've heard that he hates it so much. We need proof of this. And I'll be like, oh, I have proof to give you.
Okay, so when it comes to Red Flags marketing, it's ads, it's Instagram. How much money are you throwing at this thing?
I don't have much to throw at it. And truly I'm trying to figure out a good, balance of what's enough that I'll actually see something and get some data, because I think really that's sort of my goal right now is, I need to launch it. I need to get it into people's hands. I need to see it be successful in that way. But this is not the, well, I mean, never say never, right? Video could go viral, millions of people see it, and all is well, and I never have to worry about this again.
But you can't bet on that, obviously.
Exactly, but you can't bet on that. But the goal is, with a small amount of money, what can we do to get it into the world, show a sort of small launch process with events, with experiences, with ads, with video marketing, with social media content, with some giveaways, things like that. And how do we use that to then say to a larger investor or someone like that, hey, look what we did with, I'm not going to give the number, but let's just say, look what we did with $10,000. Imagine what we could do with $100,000, $500,000. Imagine how quickly we could grow. I mean, if some of my KPIs that I'm looking at are, I'd like to get 2,000 downloads. I'd like to get 10,000 people who use our quiz to find out what their red flags are, things like that. And if we can reach those benchmarks with this small budget, then in my opinion, there's nowhere to go but up, right? So there's a lot of opportunity, and the goal is obviously to grow from there and to be able to prove it to whoever doubts it.
Yeah, so you need like a bit of a proof of concept for your marketing budget.
Exactly.
And then you say, okay, with this amount we can get equal this outcome, and then you exponentially multiply that by 10 to 100.
And I think it's to a certain extent, I mean, I think it'll be a great conversation piece in this podcast if it happens, because it's not a test. We're not running a simulation. We're not seeing, doing it in a controlled environment. It is a completely real launch of an app. It is a completely real live experience, but it's not, we don't have Hollywood money. We have normal person money, and we're going to see what we could do with it and how far we could stretch it, because that to a certain extent is the entrepreneur experience. Absolutely.
It's well, and also to prove yourself that you can do it. I know that you've proved to yourself that you can do it many times. I for sure, when I ran my first business with the show that I did, I ran on a $0 marketing budget, and a PR budget, and what I came out with, I mean, that is something for sure, even to this day, even though it was many years ago, I can prove to somebody through that experience that I had $0 and this is my outcome.
Oh yeah.
And that is, it's beneficial to be able to pitch, and it's beneficial to your own confidence.
I think that's something that really also, I love bringing it back to this, but I think that's something that we're in the arts a lot. Yes. It's not necessarily that something that happens in entrepreneurship or the business world. It's you really, I mean, the amount of shows that you gotta promote and get onto the stage and get into the world with
nothing,
zero money and zero marketing. And I'm very fortunate that I had people who believed in what I was doing back then, and to a certain extent, it's a great way of looking at a hot market versus a cold market, right? Your hot market when you're creating a show is your performers and their families. That's how you start, right? Yes. And then they tell their friends, and then they tell their cousins or whatever, and somehow you get there, and then you analyze and you go, okay, what's the next step of this? And you say, well, what if we take our performers to an event, or what if we print some posters and slap them on a wall somewhere? And it really is amazing how that develops and how that expands when you're building something so small or so big. And you just have to start somewhere. I think that's the most important part. You just have to start somewhere.
Okay, so let's pivot to your event because obviously you're getting ready for it. This is C for Cookie, which I'm
B is for
ugly
Cookie.
tears that I can't be there. I saw your reel on how you fat washed your cookie vodka, and I was entranced by this.
Yeah, I've actually had a lot of really good feedback and a lot of really good responses from that reel. I've had so many people say like, "I saw your reel. That's crazy. What are you doing?" And like people who I was at an event last night and like people I haven't seen in years, and they were like, I like love living vicariously through you and watching what you're doing with all these cocktails. Yeah, I'm really excited for this event. Actually, this is the most complicated I think cocktails I've ever made. It really took a lot of work. It took a lot out of me in terms of what went into these cocktails. I think what's sort of the hard part for me is that these are not necessarily cocktails that you would have on a regular menu that like you would see all the time, that you would want all the time. I mean, they're based on cookies. Like you just wouldn't necessarily want this all the time. But I think what is really cool is it's a very specific kind of tasting experience. This menu took a lot of work. I've worked really hard on this one. I'm very excited. I think that something that I sort of came to it with, right, like from a creative expression, creative experience perspective was like, okay, it's cookies, but how do I make this so that not every single cocktail is like this like overly sweet, sugary
sugar
drink?
bomb.
Yeah. And there is definitely one sugar bomb. The Oreo cookie cocktail that I made for this event is vanilla infused vodka, Bailey's, and Oreo cookie infused milk. And so it literally tastes like an Oreo cookie, and it's delicious. But you know, I'm really actually impressed and amazed that the cocktails that came out of this are fairly savory. They're fairly spicy. My oatmeal raisin cocktail is like actually spicy. Like it's cinnamon, it's allspice, it's clove, it's all sorts of things. It's really great. And yeah, that fat washing experience was crazy. I like got just enough to be able to make as much as I need for this event, and I'm stoked about it. I'm really proud of that drink. It is literally a chocolate chip cookie martini, and it is a completely clear drink, like it is water clear,
Wow.
and it tastes like a chocolate chip cookie. It is the vodka that I fat washed with chocolate chip cookie oil that I made. And I could talk about how I did it, but basically I took chocolate chip cookies, I ground them up, I put sunflower oil into that ground mixture, and I let it infuse for about 12 hours. And then I strained the oil out of the cookies. And that took very, very, very long time. And this oil is now infused with chocolate chip cookie flavor. And I then sous vide that with vodka, put it in the freezer. The oil freezes while the vodka stays liquid. And then I poured that out, and now I have chocolate chip cookie fat washed vodka. And it's completely clear. It has an amazing aroma. It is absolutely delicious. And so I'm using that with little white chocolate creme de cacao and salt, and you get a completely clear chocolate chip cookie martini. And I'm stoked.
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is to our listeners who've never heard about what fat washing is, for chefing, basically.
Yes.
I listen to a lot of cooking podcasts, so I've heard a lot about fat washing, but this is not necessarily like a beginner technique.
No, it is not.
No. So did you teach yourself? Did you YouTube University this? How did you do that? How did you learn this?
A little bit. I would say there was a little bit of YouTube University-ing, but a long time ago. I fat washed things before. The first time I ever did it was a little bit of YouTube University, a little bit of we'll see what happens, and a little bit of guesswork. And yeah, it's great. It's such a. I'm fortunate in that I've learned from great people. I really, I'm always inspired by things that are going on. So I've been working at this new bar, and at this new bar, we do a lot of infusion, like a lot of infusion. And it's not a ton of fat washing, but I was inspired by that. And so I did a ton of infusions for this event. And yeah, I think YouTube University is super helpful. It definitely gave me a lot of information, a lot of things to learn. But I think that, meeting people, talking to them about how they do things, bartenders, bar owners, things like that, asking those questions, those tips, those tricks, that's really helped me. And just playing around, there's so much. I'm going to say it this way. There's so much room for error, and that's not a bad thing. Like, there's just so much opportunity to get different results with this kind of thing, with cooking. And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that part of it, that maybe this one will work. Maybe it won't. And that's honestly the reason why I do these events, is to test out recipes, test things, to try stuff out, If it didn't work, I guess it wouldn't work, and then I'll try something else. But luckily it did, and here we are, and I'm excited.
This one possible dream that you have out of many, to own a cocktail bar, I feel like this is the best and most active path towards it that you've chosen. I think it's so smart. I don't even know how, people put up brick and mortar without doing something like this first. I don't know a lot of people who do it, I have to say. And then the other thought that I'm having is, whenever we decide to plan this retreat that we're doing, we're 100% adding this into the mix.
Oh yeah, we could do a cocktail tasting event, but we could also just do a teach people how to make cocktails event, which would be fun.
But there's so many ways to sell this damn thing that we haven't created yet.
Exactly.
So good.
I think it's genuinely, I think it's a really good example of an opportunity to bring great people together. And I think no matter what happens, that's what you would obviously get. The people who would sign up for it would be great people. The people, obviously, I think would be great, on occasion. And I think that sort of total combination is gold. And we're gonna go to Bali or something like that. Really.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make it the best vacay everything. And by then,
vacay growth experience.
Yeah, Amanda would have already had a couple of years of, because she already has a couple years of Fire and Flight under her belt. I'm going to Mexico for, sweet retreats in less than a month from now, and to really feel what that schedule is like. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm looking at. That's part of my week, looking at the schedule. And I'm doing 3 apparatuses in my retreat: silks, hammock, and lyra. And to try to I'm right now kind of drafting out what that course load is going to be like during the week and what we're working on. I know most of my students and what they're capable of, maybe today, or at least the last time I saw them, trying to really curate what I'm giving them during the week. And they have photo shoots. They have all this other stuff that we're scheduling. So I'm kind of in the midst of that. Are you feeling like you're out of your funk on your end? You sound no, not 100%.
No, I'm not out of my funk. I think that I just have a lot on my mind. I think a question that I am regularly asking myself at this point is, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things?
Yeah.
And I think, we all ask that to a certain extent, but I'm definitely feeling it.
I think us more than other people who have jobs that are paying them their entire salary.
A couple of weeks ago when we talked about the grass is always greener, the 9 to 5 versus the whatever the hell this is. I don't know. I think that's the existential crises are not lessening by any means. But I am at least somewhat distracted in the current moment because I just have a lot happening. I just have stuff to do. Sort of in the same way that in the same way that you are like, I need to cry in the bathroom, but you know what? I gotta get up and fucking take care of whatever this is.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry in the bathroom. I'm gonna start fights on email in the same breath. It's like...
right. Exactly. I'll take care of what I need to take care of right now. Let's go.
Yeah, and it does relieve my stress to check off those boxes and to fill my classes this week.
Yeah.
The other not existential crisis, but it's like summer likes to ebb and flow at any studio. And so we have to do the work, and I've spoken to my owner about how we're going to keep up that flow because, her and I are the two professional teachers there, meaning that's our job. And so we're like in it with each other, which is nice to have a partner in that, even though she's not my business partner. Yeah. It's nice to have a partner in like...
What did you mess up down there?
I didn't mess up down here. What did you mess up?
I didn't mess up anything up here.
Okay, good. Can I continue?
The boss has spoken.
Go play.
Get out my sight.
Oh, she said, get out of my sight. Oh my God. Here we are.
Oh God.
No, it's the first day of summer.
Wait till she's a teenager. Oh my God.
Okay, so I wanted to add one more thing to my check-in, even though this is like half of a podcast, our check-in, which I think that's what it becomes sometimes. So yes, coming from the woman who said she's burnt out and cannot put one more thing on her plate, I think I'm putting something else on my plate. And I think that...
You know the line. If you want something done, give it to a busy person.
If you want something done, give it to a busy person, and short-term pain equals long-term gain. Because, and I'll say this, coming out of like left field a little bit, I don't know if I've ever talked to you guys about it, but my first thing when I was in college was that I wanted to go into politics. I wanted to go into politics. I thought I was going to do it. I did everything I needed to do to get a job after college. Like I did congressional internships. I lived in DC 3 summers in a row to do all this stuff. And I got a job after college, and then like, I want to be a dancer, and kind of like left it. I have been working on some of the same skill sets, but not in the political realm. I know, you know what I'm talking about. Like, okay, you learn how to write, you learn how to do communications, all the stuff in your business. Right. And so I've been talking a lot to my sister and to my my mentor, who's now in his 80s. He's my college prof, and we're very close, me and his wife. And I've been talking about how in my whole life, I haven't figured out a way that I might be a good candidate to run for office for anything, because I keep on moving, because I'm a dancer, because I'm not really in it, all these things. And even here, I don't really think a Chinese American is the best representation for the people who I live here with. It should be a Latino, if you ask me. So I haven't really found a pocket of where I would feel like, okay, I studied electioneering in college. Like I would be... like I am the right candidate for the right place. I haven't come across that. So I've been talking a lot to my sister about this. I'm a political junkie. I listen to all the podcasts. Like I'm totally in it, like as a hobby. And I've been talking to her, and then out of nowhere, she goes, Kerry, a good colleague of mine is running for Congress in North Carolina. And maybe you want to talk to him. So I just talked to him. And I'm not going to have a job. He doesn't have money to hire anybody. He, fundraising is like he needs to fundraise and all that stuff. But I just talked to him, and I think I'm going to put some of my skills to work for him.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just for my own political involvement in this country, which I think is important for smart and normal people to get involved.
Yeah.
And especially now. And I think I'm going to put my skill sets towards him a little bit. So and I'm saying this, and it makes me want to cry a little bit even more to add something. But also, as you know, this is how you and Amanda both operate too. I'm thinking 10 years ahead. If I ever want to step my toe back in, I need to build a resume. I need to build it back.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually add to that. I'm gonna say, I'm not even gonna say that you need to add that back or you need to, build your resume or anything like that. I think that if your idea is, okay, 10 years from now, what will this do for me 10 years from now? My answer to that question is, you have no idea.
Correct.
You have no concept of what that could do 10 years from now. And I don't think you need to. Like maybe it's a political career. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. You have no idea. But doing it, if it's something you want to do. I mean, how did I start this year? I know, ironic, we're 6 months in, and how did I start this year? But I started this year with, is it something that I want to do? Oh, so the answer is yes, let's do it. Right? That's how this whole cocktail thing happened. That's like, I feel like half of my projects this year have been, is it something I want to do? Okay, sure, let's do it. If it's something you want to do, it's something you have the ability to do, you should do it. You should try it. You should see what happens. And yes, maybe 10 years from now, you are a political leader. You're doing that. Maybe you're not. Maybe it takes you in a different direction. I mean, my prime example of this, and I always like to bring it up, is I never thought I would be a photographer, but when I was in New York, I needed a job. I had a family friend of mine who was a photographer at Lincoln Center, and I was her assistant. And I did, I didn't do a ton, but I learned a little bit about photography. I learned a little bit about her. I learned a little bit about that life, that job, that experience. Never, did that job, never thought anything of it. 8 years later, I became a professional photographer. Like, you just have no idea. It's something I was interested in. It's something I wanted to do. 8 years later, it actually mattered.
So I spoke to him today, and what's exciting is that actually what he might need a little assistance with are strategic, fun things. It's not like grunt work.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can you think of, let's, help me with language on the website, so because he has a staff, but it's not like, it's he's at a place where, he could use some help. So I can get my mind kind of like, the engine running in that direction again. And, it's not that it's rusty because I have been doing a lot of writing for myself. So the writing part isn't rusty, but when it comes to actually in a political way, get all that going again. I don't know. I feel like out of almost all the people in my life, you might understand this the most. If I suggested that, my friends knowing where I was in my mind, they might tell me not to. But not you, Noah Doc.
No, I get it. I make poor decisions like this all the time.
Well, there's no money involved, so it's like the pressure's kind of off. It's kind of like what I can come up with the time that I have.
Yeah.
It's not really a pressure situation, which is great because sometimes, in the past, different when I was younger, to work with somebody who was running for Congress, you'd have to get to an internship. You'd have to go through a process of interviewing to get that. But if you're just, if you've got a skill set that's already there and you could add to somebody's campaign, like for example, if I can get him a guest spot on a couple different podcasts, then I think that would be a success.
Yeah. 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 And you genuinely have like, you don't know. Listen, the other, I'm going to sound so much like my father right now. You don't know. It could be terrible.
Absolutely, it could not work out at all.
It could not work out. It could not work out at all. But it could also be great. It can also be a wonderful learning experience. It could be a great time. You can bring, your skill sets and things that you have to offer to this enterprise, to this experience. And that's fun. That's all. That's fun. That's what matters. And, if you can, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Well, also, what's on my mind, I don't know if you feel this way. It is a possibility in my mind that I might want to be qualified for a full-time job at a certain point. For a real job. Something that I would want to do. Something that I would lay down my 40 hours a week for. And for that, I need to be able to practice, and you have to be able to show to a potential employer the skill set you have, even though you have literally, when they ask for gaps on resumes, like my whole life is a gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I feel that.
My whole life is a gap, and this has come up in my conversations with my partner recently. It's like, what's going to be the long term of this? Because right now it's kind of heavy on him. But at the same time, the job that I do with my daughter, it's like I'm going to be away for a week, and what we have done, what we've put in place to take my place during that time, I mean, it's full-time daycare plus the grandmother's coming. It's like two things to make up for the fact that me is not, I am not here, which means, what I do is very, if like you could put a dollar amount to that, it would probably be, I don't know how much a month, a month or a week. So
gaps in the resume. I feel that. I don't know if it's a thing that you want to talk about on the podcast.
Let's just do it, and then we can take it out if it doesn't make sense for the listeners, or if we need to keep secrets.
Well, I was going to talk to you because I was just in Denver.
Yes.
With my folks, and as I've mentioned, my family has a family business of some real estates and rental properties in Denver. And one of the conversations we're sort of having is, well, how do we integrate Noah into the things that we do? Because I haven't been in the past. And how do I help them to grow, and how do I become sort of the next step in whatever the evolution of this business is? And I know that you are, on this real estate investment landlord property experience.
Oh yeah, my God.
And I wanted to, I know you guys are in. Where are your properties? In Texas and where else?
Okay, so the property we just bought is in San Antonio on the west side. It's a 3,000 square foot house. That's going to be our primary home. We have our secondary home is in Wilmington, Delaware. It is a 2,500 square foot home that has a huge backyard. And we bought that in the pandemic to... mostly because we, at the time, were living in a rental house in LA. They could raise our rent by whatever percentage they wanted because it was a single family home. And he didn't know if he was going to have his job forever because of the pandemic. Without his job, without his W-2, we were never going to get a loan anywhere. So we're like, we need to do something now. We need to pick somewhere. I don't know if I ever told you how we ended up in Wilmington. We basically wanted to be...
That was literally my next question.
Yeah.
How did you end up?
Yeah. So we wanted to be in 2 hours away from a major metropolitan city and at least a couple hours away from New York City. So if Asa needed to gig, he could gig. So Philly, we're 25 minutes away from Philly, and we're, I don't know how many hours of driving to New York City from there. And we actually put in offers and almost bought a house in Baltimore. It fell through because when we visited, our visit there was after we did the offer, and the neighborhood was just like, it was just so ghetto. We couldn't do it. It's like we couldn't raise our kid there. And we thought we might move.
Yeah.
The pandemic was one of those things where no one knew where they're going to land. So we were like, okay, maybe we leave LA. We put an offer in on a New Jersey house and then realized after that the New Jersey property taxes were prohibitive, highly Too high. Too high.
You don't say.
Yes. And then we put another offer into another house in Wilmington that we did not get. And this was our second choice in Wilmington, and we got it. And we're happy with it because the other house was a little bit more work and it had a pool. Who needs a pool in Wilmington, Delaware? Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's how we ended up with that. We took 3 years to slowly renovate it because we just ran out of money. And then we'd have to wait a couple months to do the next part. Asa was flying back and forth. We ended up suing at least 2 contractors for screwing us over. Not advisable to buy a house where you don't live. Not advisable.
Yeah.
But if you live in LA and you want to buy a house for $263,000, which is what we did for a 3.6 interest rate, that's what you did. That's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. So part of I think it's actually really interesting is that part of your purchase experience was that you were not necessarily looking for just an investment property. You were looking for a possible investment property, but also if you had to move there,
yes.
If you had to be there,
yes.
This will work.
Yes. Yes.
And my family said the same thing. My father actually has a very similar principle in that, he grew up in Denver, and he basically is like, if the shit hits the fan,
you can live there.
We could live here. We could live in one of these houses. It'll be what it'll be, but at least we know it. We know people here, and we'll be okay. And I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. One of the questions I've had is, if we were to look at more property, if we were to look at expanding this, if we were to look at what comes next, what are the questions that people are asking as they're going into this business? And that's where am I going to get the most bang for my buck? Where am I going to get the best, the best rent for what I'm buying this house for? Where do I think that property, real estate property prices are going to go up in the next several years? Things like that. And so when you are doing this stuff, obviously now that you're out of sort of, we're going to buy that one house that if we needed to move here, it would work. And you're into okay, we have a couple now.
Yes.
What's the next best choice for us? How do you arrive at that sort of answer? Like what are the questions you ask yourself when trying to figure out what's the next best choice for you?
I mean, I think for sure what you just said, like if 2 things can be satisfied, like, okay, we know that we're not rural people, so we have to be by a major metropolitan area, but we want to be outside of it enough to get into our price range. So for us, we drew a big circle around the East Coast. Do we love Baltimore? No, but my sister lives in DC. So we got family close by. New Jersey was like, oh man, we could be in New York in an hour.
Right.
And then we got as far as to put an offer in the house, and then did the calculation that we'd be, in for like $10,000, $15,000 a year on property taxes, and then, shot that down.
Yeah.
I do think that if you're going to make that type of calculation, the whole feeling of being in love with the place or being in love with the house isn't really part of it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like it has to which is why dating is so hard, because for a person or a house to satisfy all your needs, sometimes they're not that attractive. You know what I'm saying? Like what are you giving for what you're getting, So yeah. It's like definitely for us, like the next step is we're going to see where the world goes, but we'd like to buy a condo in LA because we'd like to be able to go back there all the time. I don't know if that's in the cards. That condo in LA might be the same cost of both our houses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're saying Denver satisfies like 1 or 2 things for you.
I don't know if Denver satisfies things necessarily for me. But it's a place that my father's done business for a long time. It's a nice place. I mean, if you've ever been to Denver, like there are some insanely nice parts of Denver.
Yeah, people love it there.
People love it there. People do move there. But I think what's interesting is because of the pandemic, because of the financial situations of, I would say, people my age in their early 30s, the conversation is, do we leave these big cities? Do we leave Los Angeles? Do we leave New York?
Right.
Do we
Right.
do we go someplace where we could actually maybe one day afford a home? And I think Denver is definitely one of those places. And one of the things that one of the sort of like humorous parts of our trip this past time is we went to a bar that was just named in the top 50 bars in North America. It's in Denver. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And we went to this bar, and we went in, and I told my dad where it was, and he grew up in Denver, and he was like, "You're kidding. That neighborhood?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I mean, are you sure? Are you positive it's there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." He goes, "Okay, let's find out." Because he grew up there. He knew that neighborhood as a place that he didn't really go.
Okay, I actually saw your story about this place. So, like, you get there, and is the entire area just completely gentrified?
It wasn't totally gentrified, but what was interesting was that this was a super hip, super cool, very young bar, and it was very it had a very diverse crowd. It wasn't anything like that, but what was amazing was my dad kind of looking around going, "What the hell are all these people doing here? What are all these young, 30-something-year-olds doing at this bar? And there's a bistro next door and all this stuff." And, I sort of had an interesting conversation with him where I was like, real estate, at least in my mind, the way that I'm thinking about it is my personal experience, which is very different than what my father's was. And the way that I'm looking at it is sort of, who's looking to rent, where are they looking to rent, and why? And my argument for it, especially in places like Denver, and, I don't know about you, but I get, Google notifications and email about, what are the most trending growing cities in America? The 10 top 10 best places to buy real estate right now, And the conversation that I had with him is this idea of, well, people my age who are looking for homes are they're going to start with a place to rent. They're young married couples. Maybe they're looking to have a kid. Maybe they have a kid already. They're trying to get into some nicer neighborhoods. They want to be close to their bars and their cafes and things like that. And this is an opportunity for them to find the right spots and to be able to have that entry point. And we talked about that entry point a bunch. And it was just a totally, I think for him, it was a different perspective on like what kind of property that I would look for to invest in.
Like, to contrast that, your father's theory on this was what? Is that? Well,
he looked at property in a part of Denver that has like a big hospital near it. And he was like, well, people who work at the hospital need to live near the hospital.
Yes. And the whole Airbnb, we're actually looking into that for next year because our tenants are leaving. So like to bring in a nurse or something.
Yeah.
For 2-3 months.
So he was very focused on industry, I would say. Like industry rentals, people who are coming to live there because they work nearby, things like that. And I was sort of looking at it from the life perspective, from the personal life experience. Where do people want to live? And where do they want to be for an extended period of time? And where do I think that real estate will go up in value, right? Like if this is where people want to live now and they're willing to go, to pay an entry point fee to be able to rent here, well, maybe, 20 years from now, that house is worth a lot more. Maybe that, and you don't want to keep it forever, and you do want to sell it, and you want to find that next. I think your sort of circle around the East Coast is a really good example of that. You know, as people want to leave the city but still want access to it, they get further from it, but they want to stay close enough that they still have access. And that's a very, I would say, young mindset.
Yeah, especially because now it's not feasible, even in some of the smaller cities that are big, to buy a house. Like Austin's becoming unaffordable.
Yeah.
That's only an hour and a half away. I mean, I have students in Austin that are now moving to I wouldn't even call them the suburbs of Austin. Like they're out in that space between San Antonio and Austin that you wouldn't want to really live in, and they're starting to live there. I have a student who is now building a studio in Kyle, Texas, which is exactly it's closer to Austin than San Antonio, but like you pass through it. It's like passing through that one city before Vegas. What is that? You know what I say?
Barstow.
Yeah, it's like people are now like, okay, I'm going to put my roots down in a Barstow type of place to get the advantage of the home prices being less and the business prices, you know, like if you want to, you know, open an aerial studio there, way less. And then you're going to get the traffic of the people that are, you know, not wanting to pay the prices. You know, even Vegas used to be very affordable. Like my friends would buy for $250,000 there. And now those days are gone, you know? So
yeah, I mean, I would still argue that
Vegas might be a place.
Vegas is a place. I know personally, I'm looking at Vegas.
We looked at Vegas. We looked at Vegas 5 years ago, and we almost did it.
Yeah. I think Vegas is a really, really good spot.
But also, that's preference too, because if you love going to Vegas, then it makes sense. Like that type of heat, I just can't do.
Yeah. It's.
But some people can do that heat more than I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the upside of the Airbnb opportunity for if you buy a house there is huge. Compared to Wilmington, like it's a big question of whether or not like Airbnb-esque things would be even like profitable for us. You know?
Well, and for me, I look at one of the reasons why, you know, my father, aside from the fact that he's from Denver and all that, one of the reasons why Denver was his choice was it's an hour and 45-minute flight from Los Angeles.
Right.
You know, it's an easy trip. It's a very easy trip, and being able to do that makes a lot of sense.
It does. Okay, I'm so excited and interested for this. So your parents are like really excited for you to like kind of dip your toe in now?
Let's not get carried away. But you know, it's at least a conversation.
Because as I remember, your dad was like not really that excited about you kind of joining that side of the business, right? Or is that just reverse psychology on his part?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. But we'll see.
I'm sure your dad has some really good reverse psychology strategies for his son.
Oh,
Who's very independent minded.
Oh yeah, he's got it. He's definitely got it going on.
He really convinces you that it's your idea, right? Like in your soul, you believe it.
I don't know if he convinces me that it's my idea, but he definitely he's yeah. I'll leave it there. I won't get too personal.
Okay, this bean needs to be fed, but that was great. You know what? Sometimes I'm just like, what are we talking about? And look, over an hour, I got to edit this shit down.
There you go.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find Amanda Ritchie at Grounded in Flight on Instagram and at Noah Doc on Instagram, as well as a Red Flags app. And me, Kerry Wee, you can find at wrapyourheadaroundsilks.com. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming at you, including guests that are in this art world that are blazing their way through new businesses and, you know, just more banter from us. Thank you for listening. This is The Artist Entrepreneur.